Hello, and welcome to our 8-part video series on how to teach creative writing with me, your host, Nick Hesketh. In this part, we'll look at how to teach dialogue in creative writing and how to end a story. Before you begin, follow the link to A Basic Guide to Punctuating Dialogue and print out a copy or copies for the class wall or tables. Distribute at the appropriate time. Also, follow the links to Just a Minute and The Invisible Book. Both are useful and effective word games to be played whenever you feel the class needs some light relief. Take time to study the rules of both games. They're tried and tested and done properly, work extremely well. Although dialogue is important and useful for moving a story on, as we all know, there can be too much of it. Just as with writing in the present tense, overusing strong words and beginning a story with once upon or one day, an excess of dialogue can be symptomatic of lazy thinking or a lack of planning. For educational purposes, and only where necessary, challenge the pupil to restrict dialogue to approximately 1/3 of his or her writing, relying on description and the keyhole person's inner thoughts for the rest. However, it must be noted that dialogue is only lazy writing when done badly. Done well, it can be extremely entertaining and engaging. For a good example of well-written dialogue, read to the class the scene in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe where Edmund meets the witch for the first time. Point out that whenever Edmund or the witch talk, each has a separate part of the page, and notice how Edmund speaks very differently from the witch. Now we return to the story, and it's about to end. Tom points out that Coalhouse Annie can pass through the blocked doorway, that to her the bricks don't exist. As he talks, the wall changes, becomes wooden. He leans forward, turns a handle, and the door swings wide. A blinding light pours into the corridor. He is aware of Annie getting to her feet, her hair floating free around her head, her eyes widening in happy wonder. "Mother? Father?" she calls. "Is that you?" With arms held wide and a squeal of joy, she runs into the light. The door slams shut, and Tom is left staring at a wall of bricks. Somehow, the school now feels different, happy. Note the ending. Endings often provide inspiration for how to tie a story together. Return to the beginning of the story and have Tom observe that, despite the clean toilets and shiny floors, his new school feels grubby, almost dirty, and sad too. When it rains, he can't help thinking the windows look as if they are crying. Now, at the end, we can tag on something like, "Somehow the corridors felt different, quiet, clean and happy." Yes, Tom decided, stepping into the early morning light and turning to look up at the school's gleaming windows. Definitely happy. This trick can be used to help children find satisfactory endings for their stories. Begin with a small problem or observation. For example, a story beginning with John couldn't remember the last time he'd had a good night's sleep. His brother's snoring was so loud, might end with, "And when his brother revved up for another night's snoring, John smiled into the dark. It was the sound of home, the sound of security, and above all, the sound of safety." Or a story beginning with, "Janet hated school and everything about it," might end with, Janet turned to her father. "Yes," she said after a little consideration, "I like school very much." And with that, she ran into the playground and was quickly lost amongst a whirl of happy friends. The end.